Our next presentation is from a good friend of ours that is a 15-year strength coach in the college world at Temple, South Carolina, Ball State. And when he was at the University of Miami, they actually had one of the highest availability years for their athletes. They had no athletes miss a game from soft tissue injury, which is really, really hard to do in high stakes football. He's no longer in Miami. He is currently the head strength conditioning director for Duke football. And he's going to be talking to us today about maximizing our role as an assistant coach, which I think is really cool as a director, showing how best who's an assistant here in this room? Raise your hand. All right, you might want to listen up because this is one of the best guys in the industry, been around, and he's going to be showing you maybe a different slant on what your job is. So, Coach David Feeley.
Thanks. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot. All right, we're going to start this off the right way. Coach Malone here. Pass those out. Everybody in the front row. Pays off to be in the front row. Have a cigar and lunch from me. How about that? All right, everybody who's a coach in this room, please stand up. Everybody that coaches and athlete, please stand up. Okay, number one, thank you for doing what you do. And just remember, every athlete that we work with doesn't owe us shit. They don't owe us one thing. We owe them. We're going to meet kids from all different backgrounds. You know that. And you can't let one kid that's tough to get to and through affect how you do your job for the next kid. Because you never know when you're going to change a life. That's what was brought to me in this profession. I'm proud to stand here with you. I couldn't be more sincere. We owe them everything that we've got. They will owe us nothing, but those text messages you get will keep you going. Those notes you get will keep us going for the next crop of kids that need you more than ever. I appreciate it. Just sit down real quick. Thank you so much. So this is going to be a little different talk because this is kind of odd. There's no book on all this, right? So number one, thank you to Sorenex. Thank you, Bert. Thank you so much. Brittany, thank you for last month on that Zoom. That was great. Matt, Olivia, she runs the show, apparently. She yelled at me 5 times on the phone. I'm kidding. She's fantastic. And Jeremy, he's our rep over in our area. All right, so 3 ways to maximize. 3 ways to maximize your role and extend the life of your career. All right, number 1, networking. You will be everything and nothing without it. It doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter. You got to get out there and you got to get your name known. You'll have ways to increase your value and then find a mentor. Okay, networking. Doesn't matter who knows you. It matters who knows you and how well you do your job. Are you serviceable? People are going to bring you in the building. They want to know, can this person do the job? Then when you get the job, they're all going to be asking, how's the new coach doing? This is an assistant strength coach. This is what it is. Because they've got to double down on, did I make the right choice? Who is this person? Are they loyal? Are they hardworking? Do they stock shelves as an assistant or the head guy? Do you fold towels? Do you write programs as well and as fast as everybody else or faster? Do you change gears? Those things are important, okay? All right, now, here's the thing. How many coaches has all of you called, all right, in the last 3 months that you previously worked with? If the number is under 15, you've got a problem. You've got a problem. You should always, always, always be checking in with the people that you have worked with, all right? And it's just saying, hi, how are you? How's the program going? Ask for advice. You don't want to complain about your day as an assistant. You don't want to do that. Sooner or later, number 1, it'll get to your head person. But 2, nobody wants to hear it. Nobody cares. They don't want to hear a complainer. They want to hear somebody that's asking for knowledge. They're dying for it. You want to be a gatherer of information like none other. That's what you want to do. You're in a constant state of learning. All right? Developing relationships with other coaches. All right? So You got your head strength coach in the office, and he's sometimes got the door closed and whatnot. And I'm speaking more of a football perspective, all right? And this probably in any business. The director's sitting in there, the door's closed, maybe talking on the phone, maybe with a couple of people. And then there's the bullpen of assistant strength coaches. Be like, all right, well, what's going on there? That right there, your assistant coaches and interns, that's your immediate network. That's what that is, okay? And it will be your strongest in the future. Why? Because you spend the most time with these people. You'll get to know these people. You'll get to know their spouses' names if they have them, or significant other, their kids, their history. You can figure out everything you want to know about them, just like a friend in school growing up, all right? But when you're around those people, just know they will know you better than anybody else moving forward, okay? And that's important to know. And you want to make personal connections with these people. Now, sometimes you just won't see eye to eye with another assistant. It's bound to happen. But at the very core of it, there's got to be a respect level of, number one, if you're honest, if you're working hard, and if you're helping the place win. Everybody cool with that? All right, so like the whole kumbaya story, I don't know if that's really gonna work all the time, but you've gotta have a foundation of respect. It's gotta happen, all right? And unless somebody hired the complete wrong assistant, it's probably gonna happen. All right, when you get the call to be a head strength coach, all right, you're going to need to hire people. You're gonna need a crew. And you're probably gonna need a crew in about 2 seconds. Coach is gonna say, hey, who do you have? Who do you know? The best people you know are the people that you worked with and trust, okay? All right, and then you're gonna hire other people that you trust, right? So I'm getting older, right? 15 years in it. I hope that's it. I think, Isaiah Bishop is in the back. All right, he's one of our assistants at Duke right now. If he goes and leaves, right, and he goes and becomes a head guy like he's going to one day, he's going to need a crew. If he doesn't have a crew of guys, I've got another gentleman that I used to work with, Ryan Bellerose. He might say, Coach Feeley, you got a couple of guys for me? I need some. Well, no, I don't. But call Ryan Bellerose. He'll give you the skinny 100% on. That's how this is all going to work. And if you call the wrong people and get the wrong person, you're going to live with that person. You're making that decision to keep them. Okay. People will always remember how you treated them, both as a person and a professional, but most importantly, how you helped them. All right, so when you're an assistant strength coach, you may think that the spotlight is not on you, but the second you open your mouth, the second you instruct a kid, the second you have an interaction with the janitor, the mailman, the secretary, the student equipment manager that could go and be the director of football operations like Pat Hagedorn saw that. I couldn't believe it. He's at the San Francisco 49ers. That dude was lugging bags around at 4:30 in the morning for us at Ball State. You never know who you're gonna meet. They're always gonna remember how you treated them. That's a big, big deal. And it doesn't matter if you're the lowest assistant, if you're a GA, if you're an intern. That is going to come back around at you. And it'll come back sometimes at your worst times and your best times, but it will come back at you. Okay, so I've got a little journey here. I'm gonna tell you how I got to each place, and it wasn't because I sent a resume. At UNLV, so I was a teacher at Brick Township High School. I was working strength and conditioning with football, but really my first paying job was with the track and field women's throwers. Bill Brunner was the head He was the head track and field coach for women, and he hired me to work with the throwers. Now, he understood that, they want to get stronger so they can throw their implements further. Hires me on. It's like, you know what, man, this is awesome. A month into it, I've got to do this for a living. So I go with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. We go to Las Vegas for a vacation. Where's the first place we went? I said, hey, baby, we're going to see a D1 weight room. Check this out. She was friggin' pissed. And I swear to God, that's the first place we went. Jody Nash was the coach that I made contact with, which is now Jody Sabatasso. We went there, met John Greco, who ended up becoming my boss later on. And he was so busy, that poor guy, he was all by himself at the time. He didn't have a GA because Brent Salzar was the GA. He had left. Some of you guys will know that name, okay? Great guy. And then we went off and had fun in Vegas, and I don't remember much more about that vacation, but went back to high school, went and interned down at South Florida, and at that time in 2006, Ron McKeefrey was running an outstanding internship program. You want to know how to run a program, you can call him if you can get him on the phone. He's a pretty busy guy, but go do that. And then I had emailed Jody because I needed knowledge about how to train track and field throwers, and she worked with track and field. So she took my emails for 4 months. I didn't know a job was going to come out of it. I looked at people on TV like it was the moon, like it didn't exist. And I just emailed her, hey, Jody, I'm at South Florida. This is my second internship. I had done one with Rutgers years before, and I'm teaching. This is what I want to do. I don't really want to stay in teaching. I'd like to be a strength coach. Do you have anything? She goes, as a matter of fact, we do. And then Greco had to call McKeefrey, and I got a shot, which was great. And that was how I got to UNLV. And then going from there to FIU. So I got my graduate degree from UNLV. How do I get to FIU? Mario Cristobal is the head football coach. It was the second year as a head coach. Our OC at UNLV was Todd Berry. Now, as a GA, I was the only assistant for football. That was it. It was Greek and me and a couple interns. That was it. It was the best experience I could have ever got. I had baseball as a GA by myself. I had softball. I had track for a little while. They didn't like me. That didn't work out too well. But you develop relationships with coaches all over the place, and they want to get to know you. Like if you can help them win and you're a good person, you're going to make it in this business. You really are. It is not about you, and you know that, okay? We all signed up. We know the deal. So Todd Berry, he goes, yeah, I'll call Mario. I worked with him in Miami and this, and that. Got an interview. Didn't get the job. Ryan Horton, who's the head strength coach of Buffalo, got the job. And then the Olympic job opened up. I moved in over there in the last minute. And I was able to work with football for 2.5 years. That's how I got there. And then going to Ball State. This was the best job ever. It really was. The head football coach was Pete Lembo. And he needed a head strength coach. He was coming from Elon. And he goes, I need to call my buddy Jay Butler, who was at Rutgers. And I interned for Jay in 2003 when I was in college. I need a guy that can do a lot with a little, very little or nothing. So I always kept in contact with Jay Butler. Even at UNLV, I would get in my car on my breaks and go visit people. I would go learn. I would hound down Jerry Palmieri. I owe that guy rent. I visited him forever. So Jay Butler, and we're over, I'm at FIU. We play Rutgers a couple times, crossover. And we had some crossover with the football staffs of FIU and Rutgers. So they'd be like, hey, how's Feeley doing? This, and that. And no matter what, you can't hide from what people are going to say about you behind your back. You can't. I would write that down. You cannot hide for what people are going to say behind your back. So it better be good. It's got to be good. There's always going to be a couple that don't say good things. You can't please everybody. If you do, you're the problem. I believe that. So got the Ball State job. It was great. It was a blessing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then that job's I could talk about that job for 9 hours. Talk about your first day. Ooh, you don't leave till 11 o'clock at night. I got pulled over at gunpoint. The guy thought I was robbing the place. The police officer, really funny. Now, then I got to South Carolina. So after 5 good years at Ball State, going to South Carolina. Jeff Dillman just got hired by Will Muschamp, and I had known Jeff. And the reason I got to know Jeff is because when I was at UNLV, he called me as a reference to one of my good friends, Ryan Puck, who was trying to get his GA job there. So if anybody knows Jeff, he's a little excited guy on the phone. Very entertaining, right? So he's like, hey, Feeley, that's how you say your name, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, hey, about this guy, Ryan. Hey, listen, shoot. Hey, I like you, but I'm going to call your ass back. I got to go by. And he hangs up. And I'm like, oh, my God. I just ruined the job for my friend, and he doesn't even know what's coming. He ends up calling me back, and we end up talking on the phone a couple times a week in the morning. And I would get up very early on West Coast time, and I would get him right after his first group or right before his first group would start. Start a relationship that way. And after a while, he would help me out with some program questions that I would have over the years, especially at Ball State. There was a 4-week stretch in the summer. We had a ton of hamstring problems. I couldn't figure it out. Thank God he took my call, because I needed help. I needed knowledge. I needed to know what I was doing right and wrong. He was big for me, really was. Summer of 2012, I'll never forget it. So he brought me on. And that was really sad to leave Ball State. That was a great spot. It really, really was. If anybody gets a chance to coach in the MAC, I'm sure you'd agree with it. And going from South Carolina to Temple, that was kind of tricky because I was only at a place for a year, and I don't really like doing that. And sometimes you have to do it. You will do it in this profession. But I just didn't feel like I invested enough. You just don't have the time to do that because your calendar doesn't allow you to dive deep. So Jeff Collins had gotten the Temple job. And I had worked with Jeff Collins at FIU. He was the DC, and I was an assistant strength coach. And we got along great. We got along great with the previous DC, Phil Galliano. You always made it a point to make relationships with your coaches. Now, you can't fake your way through that. You guys all know, and gals know, that if you start faking your way through a relationship, people are going to see through that. They're probably going to hate you more than normal, right? So that's going to be, it's got to be a genuine thing. So I was literally at a bagel shop in downtown Columbia, and I just texted him, hey, congratulations. I wish you nothing but the best. He's, thanks, bud. What do you think? The hell do you mean, what do I think? Think about what? You want to come? I'm like, oh. Yes, yeah, here we go. All right. So that's exactly how that went down. So going from Temple down to Miami, how did that work? So Coach Collins had left for Georgia Tech. I was trying to stay at Temple because I grew up an hour down the street, and Manny Diaz shows up. And I don't know Manny Diaz from a hole in the wall. And a couple of buddies of mine were like, yeah, I'm going to help you out. So when I was in South Carolina, a gentleman named Brian McClendon, if you were around long enough, you guys know who that is. Him and a few other people, Phil Galliano, who I just mentioned, was at FIU as a DC, so another assistant. Oh, by the way, those cigars, you pass those down the line. That's not for one person now. Just kidding, yeah. But those are the people that called Coach Diaz on my behalf. That's what that was. And that was so impactful for me because I was really trying to stay home. Like, that's where my heart was. I was at Temple for 2 years. I loved it. I didn't like the one and done. I don't like leaving after a while or after a short period of time. So I thought it was all going to work out. And then 2 weeks later, he got the call from Miami, calls me up. He's like, I was like, hey, coach, how was your day? The day of his interview. He was, well, pretty interesting, Dave. And he starts telling me about it. And I actually got tired of hearing it. So I interrupted him. And I said, hey, coach, I wish you nothing but the best. I'm glad you're going home. He goes, well, funny you said that. How would you like to come down here? I think we'd like to take the approach you were doing at Temple down here at Miami. I'm like, oh, God, this is really happening. Okay, great. That's how it happened. But if those coaches, networking-wise, did not call for me, and the players at Temple did not talk to him, it wouldn't have worked. And that's like, I'm so grateful for the people that I have met. They've been so impactful on me, and they've affected the way my kids grow up. And I know we're all in this. That's the same old story for all of us. But how well you help other people is going to come back at you. And I don't know when it's going to happen. You never really do know. It could come at your darkest hour, but it's going to come back at you. So then we're at Miami for 3 years, and we get let go, right? So, oh gosh, what do? So somehow Mike Elko gets the Duke job. So literally my wife goes, hey, he's from New Jersey. You should call him. I go, he's not going to care about that. She goes, yeah, he is. He cared. We grew up like 30 minutes from each other. He cared a lot. So ended up, he probably called 15 to 20 people, and most of them were the assistants that I had worked with because he didn't want to hear from a whole lot of guys on the last staff unless he really, really knew them. He wanted a few jobs ago. Because when you get let go from a job, everybody's trying to get you a job. Everybody's trying to help your guy out. Hey, let me just let somebody land somewhere. Let me help him out. You want to dive deep? You want to go back to when you were an assistant in the bullpen? That's the people that they're going to call. And I'm just grateful that he called the right people. And I thought this was really interesting. The first GA I ever had, his name was Brett McQuilkin. He owns Mac Training up in Fort Wayne. And one of the best people God ever put on this earth. And I asked him, I say, hey, from your perspective, what was it like being an assistant for me? Even though I was a GA, it's still an assistant. And I thought that'd be really appropriate for this talk, right? So he said, he goes, you told me as a young green coach, you helped me and told me you need to create value somehow. All right, that was a big thing, creating value. Be early, be organized, be over-prepared, right? We've all heard these things before, but try to be a step ahead of the head guy every time. And that's huge. So if you're sitting there at your desk as an assistant, you should have a top 5 or top 10 bullet point list of what you're gonna have to do every day and what your boss is probably gonna want every day. The less reactive you can be, the better and faster you all will operate. And the assistant strength coaches are the ones that make that happen, okay? The second thing he told me, sometimes the guy in charge is the last to know things. And this blew my mind, right? I always talked about it, but he said it. Now, I haven't worked with Brett since 2012. He says, as a young assistant, sometimes things that get told to you, they don't make it to the head strength coach, which then doesn't make it to the sport coaches. So the assistant strength coach is gonna hear things from players, from medical staff sometimes, from other coaches. They're gonna hear things that people won't necessarily say around you if you're the boss. So being trustworthy is number one. If you can do that, then you know what you got, right? And then your boss can't turn around and you're always worried about, hey, is your boss gonna go over and say, hey, you said this. That's not the way that goes. You just gotta figure out, all right, what are the pieces that are moving? How are they moving? What's the scuttlebutt, right? And the assistant strength coaches will figure that out, get that to you, and then you can make decisions on how to make your program better and fly better. I wanna know, me as a boss, I wanna know everything that's going on. Everything, good, bad, ugly, who's saying, Feeley, whatever. I wanna know all of it. You don't get mad about it, you just gotta understand it and then move forward with a good plan. You're not gonna keep everybody happy. Are you keeping them safe? Are you getting them better? Are you treating them with respect? The only 3 things that, what else does an athlete want? Besides NIL money, right? So, but those are a couple points. And then the last one was, and I thought this was the biggest one. He said, you told me to know my place in the room. I was 22 to 24, and he goes, I had some seniors that were older than me. So he goes, you told me to make an impact, do not coach the seniors. Some of them are older than you. Go and coach the freshmen, the redshirt freshmen, and the sophomores. Coach them and coach the worst ones, the ones that need the most help. And you'll get the most respect from the team. Because if you can help those guys, the older guys will be like, man, that guy's working really, really hard. I told them, I'll handle the older guys. You go hang with them. They haven't seen a GA in their life, let alone a GA change. Any questions on those stories? I know that's a lot, but anything? Okay. All right. Increasing your value. All right, this will be a little old school. Face-to-face communication instead of texting. I hate calling and I hate texting. If I've got something to say, I'd rather go right at the person. And then here's the other part of it. Uncomfortable conversations, right? Conversations doesn't always have to be combat. When I talked to Coach Parcells a couple times on the phone, he said that every time we were on the phone. And that's a big, big deal. You don't want to, you can have an uncomfortable conversation or a disagreement, but it doesn't have to be war. And most of the people in this room were a little high-strung, right? We want to get to the answer, cut the BS out and get out of my way if you don't, if you're not down with that. you can't really do that because then that person won't want to help you again. I'm coaching myself on that as well. Okay, getting to know your athletes. So as an assistant strength coach, you don't have the headaches of a manager or a boss just yet, right? So if you have downtime, in my opinion, there's a few things that you can do, but number one is to get to know your athletes. And always know that there's a fine line that nobody can really tell you what is the line. How much do you get to know them? How much do you create vulnerability for yourself? How much do they get to know about you? That's important. Can't be a one-way street. You got to get a little personal, but then still keep that professional relationship where you have to push them and get them to do what you need them to do. That's a hard line to balance. It really is. You want to talk about their goals. And you can go goals as a future mother, a future father, a future business person, a future athlete, whatever. I wouldn't go just with the athlete, right? It's about coaching people, not just weights. Johnny Parker hammered that down my throat for years. I think it's true as it gets. Okay, the handwritten note goes a lot further than a text. I still write in cursive. I'm keeping that alive, dog. I am. I hate text messages. I hate emails. Sometimes they're very necessary. But I don't think there's anything like taking the time to write a handwritten note to somebody, because it's going to be 15 to 20 minutes if you do it the right way out of your day to show somebody you give a shit about the impact they made on you. I don't know. I think it's well worth the time. Be honest with your failures and successes, all right? No coach is perfect. No coach. The Twitter world does not exist. I hate tweeting things. I'm more of a retweeter. I don't want to tweet. Like that is not for me. I don't need anybody to sift through. I don't want, what you're doing, this is that. I don't need my business out there. I'm cool. I wish Twitter would just go away. I do. It ain't. But all people are doing are showing good things. And I think all of us in here are reading enough to know that if you keep reading good things and you have a bad day, you kind of feel like the outlier. No, I'm not down with that, okay? You got to be honest. So if you're an assistant strength coach, be honest with your boss. It will go so far that, hey, I didn't do this the right way. I thought this is what you meant. This is what I should have done. Something like, just make it very smooth, because you don't want to just have a problem without a solution. And if something goes wrong, and it always will, you just want to move on as fast as possible and just not do it again, right? Because we all want to win. We're all in here to get people better and win. Win your day, they'll take care of the sport, all right? But just don't worry about that whole, the whole Twitter perfect thing. That drives me nuts. It really does. And then hold people to the standard of the head strength coach you work for. There can never be a secondary standard in the room. So, and I'll tell you this, going from Ball State for 5 years, running a show, to going to be an assistant for Jeff Dillman was very hard. Jeff gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to be in the SEC. I owe that man a lot. I do. But you're telling me like, okay, yeah, you just pick up and now you sign up for the job. You know what the job is. You said, yeah, I agree to that, this, and that, but then you're in it. And you have to take a step back. And then you're going to automatically think, oh man, we did this, and this better. We don't need to do that. Yes, you do. And I caught myself self-coaching. And then I'm sitting here as an assistant. Wow. All right, I just got to shut up. Like, I've got to support Jeff. This is what I signed up to do. But by nature, you want to go back to what you were doing. And that was a real humbling experience and a great experience for me. And I think it's allowing me to be a better boss, because now my last GA at Ball State, his name was Ben Armour, he's now our assistant director and director of sports science at Duke. After I had left Ball State, he was there for 8 years as the head guy. And then he took a step back, quote unquote step back, and that's what he's doing. So I know what he's going through. I know how to manage that better. And like Rob Panarello has hammered down my head for 10 years now, good experience and bad experience is still experience. It's going to help you later down the road. And I think this has all been great experience for me. Continuing increasing your value, becoming an expert in the evolving technology programs in the industry. Everybody that's an assistant should learn everything they've got in front of them. Every piece of tech, learn it, master it. Take a month and do it every day. Experiment on yourself with Tendo units or gym aware. Sorry, I went Tendo. Sorry. All right, 1998 on us. Perch, whoever can run catapult, you're trying to increase value for yourself as an assistant. So you're always you can always have a job. That's super important. Because if I've got somebody that leaves and they can't, and my assistants can't do catapult, the catapult guy leaves, that's who I'm going to get. There's no talking about, hey, do you think you want to do this? I'm not doing that. They've got to prove that they know what to do with that piece of tech. If they do, they want the opportunity to run that show, bang, I'm going to bump you up. That's what you got. Okay? So I would learn all of that as much as humanly possible. And if you don't have it, I'm sure somebody will send you a piece of tech for a couple of weeks to learn. Okay? All right? Coach other sports. Experience coaching other sports broadens your strength and conditioning experience. I'm just telling you that some of the toughest teams I've ever coached were softball at FIU and UNLV. Beth Torino she's now at LSU. She was the head softball coach at FIU, and Lonnie Alameda was our head softball coach at UNLV. She's now at Florida State. You will keep yourself in check coaching other sports. You'll be very aware with overhead movements. You really will. If I could give you the best piece of advice, if you're an assistant with football, beg to coach another sport and beg to coach a female sport. Do it. Do it. They listen most of the time way better than the men's. They do. Diligent, detailed, okay? I'm just telling you. I would do that as much as possible because the football model as it is does not allow assistants to practice being head guys while you're there. You're isolated. You're just in football. Thank God I had John Greco. Thank God I had Roderick Moore. Thank God I worked under those guys and I had other sports because I was practicing to be a head guy. Okay? All right. Now, here's the big one. And we talked about it before. You are a representative of your head strength coach, your director. Okay? So you have to be a pro. It's a vague term. So doing things the right way was something that was hammered into me by Pete Lembo at Ball State. And I'm like, the right way? This guy says this 19 times a day. What the heck is he talking about? And his philosophy was, you write a letter, you talk to a parent, you call a vendor, everything is done first class. That's it. You treat them just how you would treat your grandmother, and that's it. Oh, okay, that sounds pretty good to me. All right. If you are someone that needs to outperform your position, all right? If you're an assistant or a GA, all right, you're still an assistant. Be like, all right, where am I going from here? I'm just gonna do my job. You can't just do your job. You can't just do your job. That's impossible. You will never level up, ever. Every intern that works for us at Duke, they've got 3 months to learn 3 pieces of tech, or I'm getting rid of them. Because if I get somebody that calls me, be like, hey Dave, I got a G. If Thunder calls, he's like, hey Dave, I got a GA spot, or my buddy's got a GA spot. I need an intern. What can he do? Be like, well, I got Thunder. Well, this guy can clean. He can do windows. He can run around real fast. But all right, Dave. Yeah, thanks a lot. And he'll hang up really fast, and I would expect him to. Be like, hey, Thunder, I got this guy. He can run catapult. He can run Nordboard. He can do this, that. He'll compare data from the past 3 years because we've got to be like, all right, that's what I'm looking for. Bang. And you create more value for yourself. All right? But you want to outperform the next highest rank and then the next and then the next. But you want to do it the right way. That's a funny thing because as an assistant, you want to get noticed, right? You want other people, I'm doing a great job. I need people to know that I'm reliable, I'm serviceable, I'm helping people left and right. And you feel like, oh man, am I getting noticed a little bit? There's a little bit of that, all right? That's just brutal honesty. If you do it the right way and you make it about the product and which is really the player, and I mean the product of as a person and an athlete, it's all gonna work out. But you wanna make sure, and Ron McKeefery taught me this, if you're the entry-level assistant, and you're not trying to outdo, learn, and then outperform what the head assistant does, you're wasting your time. And I thought that was fantastic. I really do. All right. And then, we brushed on it earlier, but you are a gatherer of information. It's your job to tell the boss what's going on where they can't be present. All right. That loyalty piece is huge. And John Greco absolutely hammered that into my brain. Okay. Finding a mentor. They are vital to your development. No one comes up with their own plan out of thin air. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. You or we need help from others in this great profession. I am on the phone all the time. I want to know 3 opinions. Very sorry about that. I want 3 opinions on everything that I'm doing, and I want to make sure that 2 of them will tell me to go kick rocks. I need that brutal honesty. Okay, so these are 3 people that had a big impact on me. Find a mentor, and you may go through 30 of them. All you need is a couple that will change your life for the better. But you're gonna go through some people. You're gonna have to learn how to sift through people that you don't agree with. And that's hard because you feel like you're wasting your time. You don't. You're getting to your answer by eliminating people that don't align with your thought process. And that's okay. All right? So the gentleman on the left, that's John Greco. Couldn't have asked for a better boss as a GA. Beautiful man. He's the best. He's the best. I love his kids. I've held his kids as little nothings. Now they're out of college. It's wild. Getting old. He said, you're on a job interview every day. Big time. God, that I almost fell through my chair. He said, this is a people business. It doesn't matter what program you write. Well, we all know it kind of matters. But if you don't invest in them and they don't know that you care, you got nothing. You're a joke. Okay? The guy in the middle is Buddy Goldsmith. He's now a scout for the Kansas City Royals. He was our head baseball coach. And this is what he told me. He sat me down my first day as a GA, and I'm taking over baseball. I'm like, oh boy, this is great. I made the big time. He goes, you need to look at your boss and say, hey man. If he liked you, he gave you the hey man. If he didn't give you anything, and he knew you were in deep shit. He said, I'm gonna take your job one day. Now, you don't literally take his job, but you find out what he does, how he does it, and then do it better than him. That was my first day as a GA. That was the best piece of advice a sport coach maybe has ever given me. And he doesn't remember it. Not at all. The other gentleman is Roderick Moore. He's now at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Working for him, I was an assistant at FIU. That man ran the best room I've ever seen in college football. Any place I've ever visited, I've never seen anything like it. Everything was done as crisp as humanly possible. If not, there were consequences. He would love you up great, and he would fix whatever needed fixing. But there was one way in that room, and he ran a hard room, and I needed to see that. I needed it. And there was one time, I'll never forget this as an assistant. I wasn't allowed to travel as the lowest level assistant at FIU. Our team went to Iowa, got destroyed. Came in the next day, lifted, and there were some guys goofing off, and I was hollering at them. And we were actually lifting in 3 racquetball courts. God's honest truth. It was like Clubber Lang's paradise in there. It was great. Old school, plain wood platforms, rusted racks before their palace that they have now. And I couldn't see Rod coming. Comes over. Hey, Feeley. Right in front of the kids. What are you yelling about for? Well, this, and this, coach. All right. You do that again, we'll be outside. And that's it. Now, when Big Rod says something, you're going to listen to it now. And that right then and there was no like, all right, hey, just do that. There was no like talk. There was, this is the one way. And I needed to see that. As firm as he was, you just never know how your boss is going to have your back. And you want to make sure that you've got the juice to help him behind his back, and he gave it. Awesome. Awesome. Then out of the middle of nowhere at Ball State, I'm going to jump around a little bit. You never know when someone's going to make an impact or something's going to come back at you, right? You never know. Every day you're on a what? Every day you're on a what? Job interview, right? Every day. So I'm coaching this kid, Chris Godfrey, or Johnny Godfrey, walk on at Ball State. I don't know if he played more than 5 plays in 5 years. His dad played at the Giants in '86. I didn't know. All I knew was this guy needs to get a lot better if he's going to play here. That's all I knew. And then I get an email out of nowhere on July 9, 2013 from Johnny Parker. Now, I knew who the man was. Everybody knew, right? We all know. But I didn't know he knew me. And he's writing an email, hey, so-and-so son's, says, you do snatches, squats, cleans, blah, blah, blah. If I could ever help you, please let me know. And I'm like, whoa, dude, this is cool. Like, I felt like a celebrity just emailed me. I called him that day. He's on my favorites on my phone. It's my wife, my children, Coach Diaz, the assistant strength coaches, and Johnny Parker, and that's it. That man changed my life. Just because I invested in a walk-on, just to treated him all the same, it came back at you. And whatever status or job title you have, it doesn't matter. You can always affect somebody. Okay, mentors will help you decide what you believe in. All right, so sooner or later, you're gonna be developing your hill to live or die on. We do Olympic lifting, we clean, we do plyos, we do this, we do that. I believe in these and they're not going anywhere. You've got to establish that. Otherwise, you'll have no identity, you'll have no direction. It's just gonna be a mess. But if you're an assistant, you have the time to call people. Learn every piece of tech you can, you have the time. It's in here twice for a reason. It will make you valuable. And the good and bad experience. Sorry, it's been a quote forever. But your certs and degrees, get as many as you can that align with your vision. In 5 or 10 years from now, you will not be sorry that you put all that legwork in. You won't. You won't. No matter how frustrating it will be on those 11 o'clock at nights and then you've got to get up at 4 to get to work, you won't be mad. It will all pay off. It'll pay off on your time or God's time, but it's going to pay off. Okay? And whatever you teach, it's my best piece of advice for every assistant. Whatever you teach, speak to them all like they're 5 years old. Make it as simple as possible because that means that you fully understand it. You have mastered it. Okay? Now, I'm not like a big stealing quotes kind of guy from big time celebrities, but I saw this a very, very long time ago, and I'm a very big believer in this. I am. Like, nobody can survive in this business, or I don't know about this world, as an independent contractor. You can't. You can't make money out of thin air. You can't help people out of thin air. You need to interact and you need to help, but you can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what they want. If you as an assistant, whatever your goals are, if you don't want to be a director, fine, whatever you want, it's not the wrong answer. But if you want to ascend, all you have to do is keep helping people because people move on to other jobs. They're going to need a crew. They're going to need a head strength coach. Who would you call? I'd call this guy right now. He's an assistant, but he could do everything. Yeah, what would happen to the place after they left? Oh man, they'd be pissed. There's your answer. That's how it's gonna happen, and you never know when it's coming. If you think we're in control of this business or anything else in life, we are not. We're not. Any questions for me in closing here? Please. Sir. Paperwork-wise, athlete-wise, anything? Yeah, thank you for that. So what I would do is come up with a list of items of, all right, what are these scenarios that you guys are seeing? And then how can I help you do that? That's what I would do. Let them fly with it. Because whatever happens, I would say this, 1 out of the first 2 or 3 times that incident happens, something's gonna get screwed up. And they can't get frustrated over messing it up. I think it's a learning opportunity, and then they'll never do it again. But I think they always have to keep you informed. And I think it's like the end of the day for us at work, it's, all right, how were your reports? Because every guy's involved in a piece of tech at Duke. They're in charge of it. And if they have a report, they're gonna do it, right? They're gonna read that report in front of everybody. Okay, what are you hearing? Anything from this kid, this kid, this kid, this kid? And they'll let me know. I think doing it that way would work for you. I would let them ride with it though, for sure. Yes, sir. Please.
Hey, Coach. So, excuse me. So, when you have competition with somebody, right, and you may feel like that individual is
Player or coworker?
let's say coworker.
Okay.
Coworker for sure. Let's say it feels like you may be being disrespected in that competition. How do you help, or how do you control your own emotions in that situation?
I'm gonna listen to as much as I possibly can. I am, because they're gonna tell you everything that they've been dying to tell you, so let them get it out. And no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask after, so you listen, you let them get all out. How do you handle your response?
Depending on the situation, I would probably say, I'm trying to get the same thing you are. I'm trying to help you. Do you want my help? I know you're mad. I understand why you're mad. They just want to be heard. They're frustrated. Like, as long as you don't make it personal at them at any point, go back at them that way. Be like, I am trying to help. I agree with you. This is what I'm seeing. Do you, like, look, dude, I could not help you. Like, you know that, right? You could go a little bit of that, maybe not that tone, but you've got to get that point across to them, depending on the individual. But at the end of the day, if you're all working in the same building and everybody gets fired at the end of the day, you're going to want to figure that out. Then there's a couple people you just won't. Then just avoid them. Hey, how you doing? And that's it, just go. Those are going to happen. Those are the most frustrating ones. They really are. And there's only a couple, but there will be a couple. Yes, sir. Thank you. Please. Sir.
Have you ever been in a situation where your standards or expectations are higher than the person in charge?
Oh, 100%. Sure.
How would you handle that? How would you go about that situation?
Oh,
You were saying you're pretty dialed in, you know, you were always saying like the head coach, hold everybody to the standard of the head coach. It seemed to me that people in head positions when you were an assistant were always pretty dialed in. But, you know, have you heard of it elsewhere? Have you dealt with it?
sure. That's a great question. There's always, so even identical twins, I've learned this. I got two friends, they beat the shit out of each other. They're 44, they still go at it. They never agree on everything. They don't. And that's like at its core, like that's like the closest two human beings on planet Earth to align themselves up, right? Identical twins. With the head strength coach, it doesn't matter. You've got whatever they're doing, because it will cause a rift unless you're willing to leave and get fired. I've learned that, like, whatever is told to get done, that's how it's got to get done. But no matter what, see, the tricky part is getting demoralized as an assistant, or like, you know, you're just not, you know, man, why am I doing this, and that. That's the trick, right? Is if you don't agree with everything, fine. Like, I didn't know what to agree with Greco at UNLV. I just didn't. When I got to FIU, there are a couple things with Rod. I'm like, I don't know. Didn't matter. Okay, I'm just going to do it anyway. Then you're the head guy, and then you get to South Carolina. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. Why are we doing this? Didn't matter. Did it work anyway? Yeah, it's just not what I wanted to do. I would let that ride out, but I would never compromise how I treated and coached a player. That's it. Everything else structurally, I don't, like, it is what it is. I wouldn't, if you disagree with it, don't let it consume you, because you want everything to be right, I'm sure. You sound like a perfectionist, right? You want to, you know, just do the best job that you can, and it's awesome, right? Let it go. That's how I would do it. Thanks for that, yeah. I saw one in the back. Anybody? Please. Sure. You know we're playing them in week 3. He wants to know stuff, right? Thanks, Coach Witt. Love you. I do. So I'll do this. So I'll set it up for them like a layup. I really will. I'll be like, hey, your guy did this, this, and this in April. He squatted on the perch, this and that. In July, this is what he ended up doing. He got a lot better, really awesome. And my job, because we're all in sales, every day you're in sales. You're selling your program, you're selling in recruiting, everything. If I can get coaches to know that I'm tracking their individual player's progress all the time. Be like, hey, and I'll lay it up, hey, do you want to know the next time he does something like this? And I'll be really excited about it, but really I'm trying to get the answer I want, which is, yeah, hell yeah, let me know. And then they'll start to learn from it. Now, when they start using the catapult and their high-speed yardage isn't enough, and they start pulling hamstrings, and I keep telling them, hey, dumbass, I told you they need to sprint more, and they don't, then they really listen. Sometimes it has to get to that point. I know a lot of guys are shaking their heads on that one, but the more you can show, in my opinion, in small doses, and be very particular on what they're already threatened because they don't know it and they don't want to look like an idiot, in my opinion. Present small bits of data. What are you specifically looking for in your perch or your catapult or your jumps? And then present it to them that way. That's how I would start one-on-one and just be like, hey, I'm invested in your guy. And they're like, hey, Rusty, man, he really likes my guys, man. He hates your guys over there. That's how it's going to go. They'll talk in the staff room. That's what I've learned. Sir, thanks. Please. Ooh. Where was that 600 milligrams of caffeine you were talking about? Well, all right, so a few scenarios. Number one, I always want to promote from within. Because if you don't see, look, this ain't enterprise, right? There's only so much we can do here. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that they've got a shot to move up. Now, if you want to move up, it's going to come more responsibility. If you can't do that, then there's going to be a problem. I've got to bring somebody in. And I don't have any secrets with the staff. I don't want that. I've been very transparent. Just telling you, if this guy leaves, I need these skills, and I don't want to be like, I'll learn it. That's baloney. I could get 4 guys that already know it that I know. I don't want to do that. You will force me to do that. So I've done it a few ways in the past. I've reshuffled, promoted up from within, gotten guys in. I've done that a few ways. I think at the end of the day, you don't want to take a chance. I would rather so let's just say, for example, our assistant director, Ben Armour, who's director of sports science, he doesn't run Catapult. He oversees all the other pieces of tech. Everything funnels through him before it gets to my desk. So now he's also in charge of Nordboard and jumps for right now, right? So if he leaves, the next guy in the pecking order would be Brandon Nave. Brandon can't decipher all that information. I'm going to get somebody else, or somebody below him. I'm going to get somebody else. Because at the end of the day, the kids need results. I can't have a month hiccup for somebody learning on the job. They're not doing that. Nobody would tolerate that at any high level, and I certainly can't. I would feel awful as a director by allowing that to happen. Now, it's a cheat sheet because the guys that are working for you already know the score. They know the game. It's your job. The ball's in your court. Because who wouldn't want to have guys move up the chain that are working for you? And then eventually they move on and become head guys, and it's awesome. It's a great story. But that's how I've done it in the past. Thanks for that. Bird, we got time for one more? One more, please. Anybody?
If you could give us your experience on handwritten and personal notes, specifically when it comes to athlete programs or showing upper management how you think.
That's a really good question. So how do they think? I want to know what they think of me.
What goes through your mind when you're giving programs out to athletes and how you show your thinking to upper management?
Okay. So what I would do is I would make sure that there is, now if you work for somebody that does nothing but high intensity and you're an Olympic, that's going to be there's a little friction, right? So what I would do is I would make sure that no matter what you're doing, this is, John Greco told me this years ago when I first got in. He goes, every decision you make believe there's a tape recorder with a lawyer sitting right in front of you. Because if you're not sound in your prescription, then you've already bucked science You've bucked the rules, and you rolled the dice on what an athlete can do. So that's where I would start. Vernon Stevens was the one that had grilled me an awful lot because that's a GA I called everybody I could get a hold of, man. He was at the Chargers at the time. He's now in Durham at Duke Sports Science Institute as a strength coach. He's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And I'm like, dude, what the hell is this guy's problem? He's asking me why on everything. I couldn't give him the reason why. I didn't learn that lesson yet. And then 2 phone calls later, I message received. But it would make sure it's sound. You have an absolute reason why you're doing everything. Because if it was your son or your daughter, what are you doing, my kid? And then that's the answer. They'll get you anywhere you want to go. If anybody, thank you so much for that. If anybody ever wants to email me, feel free. Thank you all very much. Thanks, brother.
Great job.